Mom, why did you come by taxi? I thought you'd drive the BMW I gave you. I chose the taxi today. I didn't want Kelsey to see me driving my own car. That was the first thing my son said when he opened the door, and before I could form a single word, my daughter-in-law stepped in front of him with a smile so light it almost felt rehearsed. Oh, that car. It's mine now. Her voice was soft, but the meaning hit like a door closing. My name is Marianne Alder. I am 63 years old. I stood on Drew's front porch with the late afternoon chill still clinging to my coat. The sound of the taxi pulling away, lingering behind me. I had tried to keep the embarrassment from showing on my face, but there was no hiding the sting of that moment. The BMW had been the one extravagant thing in my life. A gift from Drew the day I retired from teaching. Seeing him look from me to Kelsey with confusion tightening around his eyes made my throat tighten. "I thought you were taking it to the shop," he said carefully, searching my face like he expected the real answer to slip out if he looked long enough. I forced a small smile. I did not want to bother anyone today. This was easier. It was not the truth. But the truth would have broken something open too quickly. The truth would have turned this doorstep into a battlefield. And I have never been good at battles, especially when the people I love are standing on the other side. Kelsey looped her arm through his. She barely uses it. Drew, it made sense. I have meetings, errands, things to handle. It works better this way. Drew's gaze flickered again, unsettled. He did not argue. He never argues, not when he is unsure, not when he senses tension rising. I stepped inside, setting the small container of lemon bars on the counter, trying to steady my breathing. I had come here just to drop them off, just to see my son's face and hear how he was doing. But the air in the house felt different, thicker, expectant, as if this moment had been waiting to happen for a long time. Drew closed the door slowly behind me, still watching me with that quiet, troubled look. And the truth I had been holding down for months began to press harder against my ribs, ready to spill into the next part of this story. The memory drifted in before I could stop it. The way old bruises throb when touched. The BMW had arrived on a bright afternoon 2 years earlier, a celebration of my retirement after more than 3 decades of teaching. Drew had placed the keys in my palm with both hands, proud and boyish. "You deserve something reliable, Mom. Something just for you, for a while." It truly felt like it was mine. Then one morning, Kelsey appeared at my door holding a travel mug and a stack of folders. "My car will not start," she said lightly. "Could I borrow the BMW for a quick interview? I will be back before noon." "My car won't start," she said lightly, though her tone carried urgency. "Could I borrow the BMW just for today? I'll return it before noon." Her smile was warm, confident, the kind that made refusal feel like rudeness. "Of course," I said, handing her the keys. She brought it back the next evening. "Traffic," she explained, dropping the keys into a dish like they were spare change. 2 days later, she asked again, then again. Soon she did not ask, she informed. "I have a meeting across town tomorrow. I will take the BMW." Or, "My car needs a part. I cannot risk being late." The first week, I believed her. The second week, I convinced myself it was temporary. By the third, I was checking the driveway before planning anything. Drew noticed once after work, when he saw me scrolling for bus routes. "Mom, why are you taking the bus? Use the car." His tone was puzzled, not unkind. "Kelsey needs it for now," I murmured. He nodded, already putting groceries away, trusting that if there was a problem, I would say so, but I did not. And each time the keys left my hand, it felt less like lending and more like letting go one small piece at a time. The shift from lending the car to lending myself out happened so quietly, I did not notice the line until I was already standing far past it. It started with a call late one evening. Drew's voice was tight. "Mom, our power bill slipped through the cracks this month. Could you cover it? Just this once." I said yes before he finished explaining. It felt natural he was my son. A week later, Kelsey called. The water bill came out higher than expected. "I promise we will pay you back next paycheck." Her promise sounded sincere. It also dissolved within days. They begged me to cover the vet bill. They said the dog's surgery couldn't wait. I hesitated, then used my savings, hoping it would buy them time. I did not want the dog to suffer because their budget could not stretch. Tacoma had grown more expensive over the years, rent climbing, groceries creeping up, utilities unpredictable. Drew and Kelsey were trying to stay afloat in a townhouse near Proctor, a place that looked nice from the outside but carried a mortgage heavier than they had expected. One afternoon, Drew came to me with a folder. "Kelsey found a deal on a townhouse. If we can get the down payment together, we will finally have stability." I heard the hope in his voice. I handed him several $1,000s without mentioning the small retirement account I pulled it from. "Mom, we will repay every penny," he said. I nodded, pretending I believed it was possible. I told myself I was helping them stay stable, helping them build a life I wanted for them. I told myself it was love, and maybe it was, at first, but the habit formed quickly. When they were short, they called me. When something broke, they called me. When their spending slipped, they called me. And every time I stepped in, I stayed quiet, not wanting to make Drew feel guilty, not wanting Kelsey to think I was keeping score, not wanting to be the kind of mother who complains. Silence became easier than the truth, easier than admitting I had begun to disappear inside my own generosity. Drew lingered near the kitchen doorway longer than usual, his eyes following every small movement between me and Kelsey. She was talking fast, too fast, stacking plates, laughing a little too brightly. "Mom," Drew said finally, "why did you really take a taxi today? You never do that," Kelsey answered before I opened my mouth, because it made sense. "Drew, I needed the BMW for errands." She told me it was fine. I kept my hands still on the counter, afraid even a tremor would reveal too much. "It was not a problem," I said quietly. Drew frowned. "I thought you were using it this week. You mentioned doctor appointments." "Ah, that one slipped my mind. Next month is the correct date." Sorry for the confusion. That familiar heat rose in my chest, the feeling of being corrected like a distracted child. I swallowed it the way I always did. Drew stepped closer. "Mom, did you tell Kelsey she could keep the car for now, or is this just temporary?" Kelsey let out a soft, irritated sigh. "Drew, please. She barely drives. I handle most of our errands anyway. It is practical." Her words hung in the air. Something in Drew's face tightened, a small shift. But noticeable. He looked at me longer this time, like he was searching for something he had overlooked. "Mom," he said again, softer. "Are you sure you are okay with all of this?" I nodded, though the movement felt heavy. "I am fine," I repeated. But Drew did not step back. He kept watching me, eyes narrowing with a quiet confusion that looked too close to concern. Kelsey moved to his side, looping her arm through his. "Let it go. Drew, you worry too much." He did not answer her. He only kept looking at me, as if a small doorway of doubt had opened, and he was finally wondering what lay behind it. Dinner had barely begun when the tension that had been simmering for weeks finally cracked open. Drew passed me the salad bowl, trying to keep his voice steady, but I could feel the question pressing at the back of his throat. "Mom," he said carefully, "I want to understand what is happening with the car. Did you actually decide to give it to Kelsey?" Or Kelsey dropped her fork with a sharp clatter. "Oh my God. Drew, enough." I told you already. She does not need the BMW. I do. Her voice snapped across the table before she seemed to realize how loud it was. Drew's shoulders stiffened. Mine did too. Kelsey, I murmured gently. Let us not, no, she said, eyes flashing. I am tired of dancing around this. I handle everything in this house. The errands, the scheduling, the bills. I need control of the finances, or nothing gets done. Drew froze. Something in his expression shifted, like a door slamming shut behind his eyes. You need control, he repeated. Yes, she said, lifting her chin. Your mother said it was fine. She barely drives anyway. Why should a perfectly good car sit unused when I am the one actually keeping things running? I felt the words hit him. He looked at me, searching for confirmation, for truth. I could not lie. Not anymore. Kelsey has been using it, I said quietly, for a while now. Kelsey leaned back, arms crossed. See, she agreed. You are blowing this out of proportion. Drew's voice lowered. Mom, did you give her the car? I hesitated, and the silence was louder than anything I could have said. Kelsey laughed under her breath. Drew, please. She knows it makes sense. She knows I need it more. The room felt tight. Breathless, Drew pushed back his chair slowly, his gaze fixed on me, not angry, but awakening. Piece by piece, he had finally heard the line Kelsey never meant to speak. Drew insisted on driving me home after dinner. He did not say much, and I did not push him to. The silence in the car felt different, not hostile, not cold, just heavy, like something fragile was forming between us, and neither of us dared to break it too soon. When we reached my apartment, he followed me up the stairs without asking. I unlocked the door, hoping the dim light would hide the small things I had been trying not to let him see. Mom, he said quietly, can we talk for a minute? I nodded and set my purse down. His eyes moved around the room, slow, careful, almost hesitant, until they landed on the stack of unopened envelopes on the counter. Medical bills, insurance statements, receipts I had forgotten to tuck away. What are these? His voice was soft, but the tremor underneath was unmistakable. I reached for the envelopes, but he stepped closer, placing a hand over mine. Mom, please, I let my hand fall. He opened the first envelope, then the second. You had an appointment last month, and you did not tell me. Another page. You paid the full amount out of pocket. Another. And this is the down payment receipt for our townhouse. His breath caught. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted you two to have a stable place. I whispered. You were struggling, and I did not want to make things harder. Mom, you took money out of your retirement account. His voice cracked, and you did not say a word. I looked down at my hands. I did not want to be a burden. He sat beside me, elbows on his knees, head bowed. You have never been a burden. I should have seen this. I should have asked. I reached out, touching his arm gently. You were building a life. I did not want to stand in the way. He lifted his head, eyes glassy, hurt, and realization mixing together. Mom, I am going to fix this. I do not know how yet, but I will. The determination in his voice trembled, but it was real. Drew asked me to stay in the car when we pulled up to the townhouse, but I shook my head. No, I said quietly. I am here. I am not hiding anymore. He hesitated, then nodded and unlocked the front door. The living room lights were on. Kelsey stood by the kitchen island with her phone in hand, posture stiffening the moment she saw us. You are home early, she said, voice tight. What is going on? Drew did not answer. He placed a thick stack of papers on the counter, my medical bills, receipts, payment confirmations, bank transfers. The folder landing with a dull thud seemed to echo. Kelsey blinked. What is all that? Things Mom paid for, Drew said. Things I did not know about. She laughed. Too loud. Too forced. Oh my God. Drew, she is exaggerating. I told her we would pay her back when things settled. Several $1,000s is not an exaggeration, he replied. His tone was level, but his hands shook slightly. Kelsey crossed her arms. She offered, Okay, I never forced her. You did not have to force me, I said softly. You only had to ask. Kelsey shot me a glare. See? She admits it. Drew stepped between us. Stop talking like she is not standing right here. Her jaw tightened. This is ridiculous. You are acting like I did something wrong. You took her car, Drew said. I borrowed it, she snapped. For almost a year, he said, raising his voice for the first time. And tonight you said you need control of the finances. You said the BMW is yours because you handle everything. Kelsey's anger rose fast. Yes, I said that because it is true. I am the one who keeps this house functioning. And if I need the car to do that, then yes, I should be the one driving it. Drew stared at her for a long, heavy second. Give me the keys. She froze. Excuse me. The keys, he repeated, and the title folder from the drawer. Kelsey's breath hitched. If you walk down this path, Drew, I am leaving. I am not going to stay in a marriage where I am treated like a thief. He did not flinch. Then maybe you should not act like one. Her face crumpled with disbelief. You are choosing her over me. I am choosing what is right, he said. For the first time, Kelsey's voice trembled. If I leave tonight, that is on you. Drew held out his hand, quiet, steady, unmoving. After a long, shaking moment, Kelsey reached into her purse, pulled out the BMW keys, and dropped them into his palm without meeting his eyes. Then she walked past us, grabbed a duffel bag from the hall closet, and slammed the door behind her. The silence left in her wake was thick, painful, and real. Drew closed his hand around the keys and exhaled slowly. He looked at me, not victorious, not relieved, just stripped bare, realizing the cost of truth was heavier than he ever expected. Drew did not speak on the drive back to my apartment. The BMW keys sat in the cup holder between us, catching the streetlight every time we passed under a lamp. His silence felt heavier than anything Kelsey had thrown at him. She went to her sister's. He said, finally. His voice was rough. She packed fast. She did not even look at me. I nodded, unsure which of us he was trying to reassure. When we reached the parking lot, he stepped out first and opened the passenger door of the BMW with a slow, tense motion. Mom, I want you to see this. The car looked familiar from a distance, but as I walked closer, I noticed a long dent, likely from a tight parking spot, and some scratches. The interior smelled faintly of takeout left overnight. My heart dipped in a way I was not prepared for. I did not know, Drew said quietly. I should have checked sooner. I thought she was taking care of it. I ran my fingers over the dent. It is only a car, I whispered, but he shook his head. It was supposed to be yours. It was supposed to mean something. He placed the keys gently into my hand, as if handing them back might undo everything that had led us here. It did not, but it was a beginning. Drew followed me upstairs like he was afraid I might shut the door before he could speak. I set the BMW keys on the table, and he stared at them as if they carried every mistake he had just uncovered. Mom, he began, I thought you were okay. I thought you had everything under control. You never asked for anything. I did not want to add to your stress. I said, you were building a life. I did not want to be the weight that slowed you down. He shook his head sharply. You were never a weight. I just assumed you did not need help. I assumed you were fine because you always said you were. I sank onto the couch. I learned a long time ago that if I speak up, people worry, And if I stay quiet, things move forward. I chose the easier path for everyone but myself. I said, thinking back on all the times I let them borrow, pay, and rely on me, while never admitting how exhausted it made me feel. He sat beside me, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tight. I do not want you to stay quiet anymore. If something is wrong, you tell me. If someone takes advantage of you, you tell me. And if you need help, I said softly, you ask me, not the other way around. He nodded. Deal. There were no dramatic promises, no rushed apologies, just two people finally telling the truth that should have been spoken years ago. The next morning, I walked into the licensing office with the BMW keys in my pocket. The clerk processed the transfer quietly, stamping each page until the title was fully back in my name. When she slid the final document across the counter, something steadier than relief settled in my chest. Drew picked me up afterward. He looked tired, but grounded. Kelsey and I talked. He said, we are starting counseling next week. No more guesswork. No more hiding things from each other. I hope you both find clarity, I said. He nodded. And you? What is next for you? I smiled. Something small. Something mine. I had already signed up for a senior hiking group at Point Defiance. Something I had always wanted to do but kept putting off because someone else always needed something first. That afternoon, I drove the BMW had been used heavily during Kelsey's errands. A tight parking spot and a few careless turns left scratches and a dent, but the wheel felt solid beneath my hands. Mine again. When I parked outside my apartment, Drew hugged me tight. You deserve a life that is yours. Mom, I am finally taking it. I said. I locked the car with a quiet click, the sound landing like a promise one made to myself. If you want to hear how I rebuilt everything after this moment, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. There is so much more to tell.